UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell
need.
yeah.
Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. I see around the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Still I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them I go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. Yeah, real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Yeah, me drop the
Hello, 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 and good evening, my fellow Jamaicans, and welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. My name is Joseph Patterson, and I'm the president of the UIC. I'm very happy tonight to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to speaking with a number of young people looking at Jamaica and some of the things that are happening around them and how they feel about it. Now, this is completely unscripted. None of these young persons know what I will ask them, nor do I know what they'll be asking me. So, we're having a very impromptu session. We're going to have probably 3 or 4 young people on. They were put together by persons in our organizations, drawn from across different cross section of individuals. I don't know any of them personally, but I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say about Jamaica, about their experience in Jamaica, and what they think about their country and how we can improve conditions for them. First of all, let me say a big welcome to all of you on our different platforms, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm seeing such persons as Maisie Miller, Cool Guy, Malcolm X, Latoya Small, and Alicia Gillespie, and out of many one people. Welcome and big up to all of Uno. It's a pleasure to have you on the program tonight. So, some of the names that I have here on my list of young people that I'll be speaking with are Samantha Brooks, Demoy Reed, Shakira Forbes, Anthony McLean, and I'm really excited to have these young people speaking with us this evening. I understand that some of them might be shy. They're not, always on camera or anything like that. So please bear with them as they find their footing tonight. And we're just going to have a very relaxed conversation to learn more about them, learn more about how how they look at Jamaica, what are their thoughts about their own country, and how the UIC can make a difference in their lives when we form the government. Big topic right now for many Jamaicans is the issue of the republic. What is a republic? What did Barbados just do? As you know, back in the 60s, in the 70s, Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago became republics. At least that's what they call themselves. And just recently, Barbados have also become a republic. You might have seen where I have posted online that that's a fake republic. So tonight we want to touch on that a bit. What is a republic versus what they had before, which was what do you call it now? A monarchical democracy or a parliamentary democracy. I think Barbados is now calling themselves a parliamentary republic. What on earth is that? What does that mean for the Bajan people? You might have also heard our traditional politicians, the two colonial parties, now talking about constitutional reform and going to some form of republic. What does that mean? How will that impact us? What is the value of Jamaica becoming a republic? So we're going to look at that tonight, and talk about that with these young people. But let me pause now and bring on our guest. Hopefully, they can be on camera so we can see what they look like as we hear what they sound like. So I'm going to begin by bringing in Demoy Reed. Good evening, Demoy. How are you doing today?
Hi, good night, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Good to have you on. Um, I don't know you personally, and you don't know me personally either. But have you heard anything about the UIC before now?
Well, I have. I think it was when a couple of months ago, the scenario with the marching, the peaceful protest, and
Yes.
I was honestly a bit surprised in the manner which the police handled the situation. So that was my first, real encounter. The first time I've really heard about UIC.
Oh, okay. Many Jamaicans are in the same position. One of the challenge of the UICC is that even though we're a registered political party, the third registered, so you have the two main ones that have been around for many years.
Right.
Under the new laws, they were registered in 2018. We were registered in 2019 after much battle and fighting with the Electoral Commission of Jamaica,
Okay.
which is a bipartisan body that tells us that they're there to improve our democracy and so on, but instead, try to prevent third parties from coming into being. But anyways, we fought with them for 10 months and became the official third registered party on December 7th, 2019. The reason you don't hear much about us is because the news media makes it their duty to try and avoid having to carry anything about the UIC. So even if there's a topical matter being discussed in the country, like right now, people are talking about republic, something we've been talking about for many years now, and we have a plan for a republic. They don't invite us on. They don't ask what are our thoughts on it. So the news item will say something is happening with the GLP, something is happening with the PNP, but
Right.
nothing
Right.
about the UIC. So here we are. So I'm glad that eventually you learned about us. But tell
Yes.
me, do you have anything in mind that you want to talk about tonight that you would like to, maybe ask a question or anything?
Well, as it relates to Jamaica, I made a tweet today, and it's just the frustration, really. I made it out
Mhm.
of frustration. It's understanding and looking at where our society is and the opportunities that are really here for young people. It's very limited. So in
Mhm.
that tweet I made, I said I love being a Jamaican. However, I hate being a Jamaican living in Jamaica. Right.
Mm.
Simple meaning it is not a place where you can thrive as a young individual, an individual
Yes.
coming from nothing, coming from limited opportunities.
Mhm.
There's not much room for you to excel, as in there's not much opportunity. Even in the job
Right.
market, there's a
Yes.
lot of prejudice as it relates to us young people. You understand? We see this
Yes.
even in NHT, the opportunities for young people. It's to actually become a home owner. It is not
Mhm.
a smooth process. It's really not facilitating us as millennials. So that's really my issue being here in Jamaica. There is really no room for us as young people.
Right. Well, that's a very good point and a good question. I'm going to bring in Samantha Brooks right now, as well as Anthony McLean. And I want to know if they share your view of it's good to be a Jamaican, but not a Jamaican living in Jamaica. That's a powerful statement. I also see Shakira Forbes as well. I'm going to bring her in too, and see if we can get some some thoughts on that. So welcome, Samantha Brooks. Welcome, uh, Anthony McLean. Samantha, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. You're hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly now. Did you hear what Demoy said earlier?
Oh my God, it was just right on point because I'm millennial, and as what the more is saying, it is I am proud to be a Jamaican. First saying that I'm really proud to be a Jamaican. However,
Yes.
I am now looking for opportunities overseas because first you do your best, you get the required subjects, you go to university, and after university is where the wake up call comes from me because the limited opportunity, the pay, oh my God, cost of
Hmm.
living now in Jamaica is so high. I went to the supermarket with $20,000 to get some groceries, some snacks, no meat, just some livable items, the basic stuff,
Yes.
toiletries, basic snacks and stuff. And you could barely, when I'm home and I'm checking the bag, the receipt, I wonder if somebody picked some of the money somewhere because
Yeah.
it was not substantial. So now I'm looking to say, okay, what are the opportunities that I could receive overseas, looking at how it is that I can migrate. That's a big thing. So
Hmm.
it's very concerning to know that for us as millennials, what are we really and truly coming? What the older generation left for us? I'm feeling lost
Yeah.
on it, and then I'm scared for my child to come up now. What am I going to do for her? Because the reality of it is good for us to be able to travel based on what globalization is doing. No,
Yes.
but really
Yes. Hmm.
to go in another person's country and be a second class citizen, it's not the best. I would want to be
Hmm.
in Jamaica where I'm living the life that I can live based on the what I've put in place in terms of getting an education, in terms of
Hmm.
trying to network, and then I could basically visit all around the world. That is my dream. Live in Jamaica, but I'm able to afford vacation around the world at least once a year, at least that. And I can't see myself for the next year doing a 9 to 5, having enough to save and having a little left over where I can put towards even vacation. So then my point really hits the mark. It hits the mark for me.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm hearing from many young people. But tell us, Demoy, do you mind telling us how old you are and just a little about yourself, what you do?
Yes, so I am 27. I'm an infantry officer, and very passionate as it relates to the whole logistics and supply chain field. That's
Hmm.
where I see myself progressing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm really now considering, um, you know, migrating overseas because the opportunities are very limited. And within my field, I think it is an industry where, you can absolutely grow and become something great. But then again, the limitations. So that's really me.
Right. So you are a young professional, educated. You've spent the time qualifying yourself. You're looking for opportunities to grow, but you're realizing that Jamaica is quite limiting, and so you have to set your sights on leaving the country.
Indeed.
Um, Samantha, tell us about yourself now, your age, if you don't mind, and a little about your background.
Okay, no problem. This always say that women don't like to tell their age, but I'll go ahead and
Hmm.
do so. I'm
Yes.
27. I'm a social media analyst. So,
Hmm.
and I also am a small business owner. Nothing big, but as I stated,
Yeah.
just to do something on the side because we
Hmm.
understand we are in Jamaica skilled workers. I think skilled workers are the person winning right now, to be honest. When I used
Hmm.
to grow up, you would always say, get an education, go to university, and we always dream that we're going to get a high paying salary. You understand? At least 3 years
Hmm.
in the job, you should be getting something substantial. And based on
Yes.
what's happening, even with a degree, even with a corporate job where I'm still not able to afford cost of living. So I have to think about doing something second
Hmm.
hand now, and I'm looking to skills. And also even pay the student. You know what I'd like to ask you, what do you think, or what you'd like to implement for students taking the student loan? Because that
Mhm.
is really a big thing, because with student loan not able to get a job that is actually paying you what it is that you're
Mhm.
worth, and then no majority persons after leaving university, you're looking to start a family, you're looking to start
Mhm.
a business,
Yes.
and all of this now, are you looking to get even a car? And as a demo, I say I'm not from a wealthy family.
Mhm.
I'm from a single mother that tried her very best as a hustler, and I
Mhm.
get an education thinking that I could come and at least build a big, pretty nice house for her, and I'm not seeing that vision now. So that's why I'm looking for the US dollars now, or Canadian dollars. But you know, that's
Yeah,
where
man,
I'm at right.
I fully understand. I am like you. I mean, when I was growing up, my mother was a hustler as well. We lived in a little one-room house, and we have to make ends meet. And I grew up and get a chance to go to university and get a college education and so on. But unlike you, when I finished UTech back in the early 1990s, I had four job offers. Today, you're lucky if you have one. And, I could see where I could kind of figure things out. It was still difficult, but I could see where, no, I mean, the cost of living, any chance of home ownership, the chance of buying a decent vehicle, all of those things are a stretch for the average young professional today. And so we have a serious problem. And the question is, why do we have such a serious problem? Why is it that year after year after year, things seem to be getting harder and harder and harder for the average Jamaican? Why is it that our best and brightest must quickly leave Jamaica if they're going to have any hope of enjoying a decent standard of living? I understand it fully. I know why we have the problems, and I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. But let's welcome Anthony McLean. Hopefully, Anthony, can you hear us? Anthony? Anthony, welcome. Can you hear us? All right, while we're waiting for Anthony to answer, let me just say hello to all the persons who are on our different channels: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are listening to us. Welcome. This is UIC Liberty TV. My name is Joseph Patterson. I have online here with me tonight a number of young persons selected at random. I don't know them, they don't know me personally. They're here tonight to share with us their story, what's happening in their lives, how difficult it is to live in Jamaica. So far, we have heard the consensus is that they all want to leave Jamaica, not because they don't like Jamaica, they love Jamaica, they want to stay in Jamaica, but because of how difficult it is, how few opportunities there are for them to be able to earn a decent income and live a decent lifestyle, a respectable lifestyle. They're looking to migrate to greener pastures. That is a long story. That is the story of Jamaica, where all of the best and brightest among us quickly seek to leave Jamaica for the logical reason that we all want a better standard of living. I can't blame them. I left Jamaica when I was 23 years old. Different circumstances for me. I didn't leave for better because I was doing quite well while I was here. I had a good job as an engineer with the sugar company then, and I had a good education, and I was also an entrepreneur. I was okay. But my wife, who had migrated earlier to Canada as my girlfriend at the time, she was there and she invited me to come and say I should come, try out Canada. So I left and went, but always wanting to come back to Jamaica. And as soon as possible, 10 years ago, I was back here, and my God, I am shocked. I was shocked to see the level of degradation that took place over that 10 years. But let me see if Anthony can hear me now. Anthony, can you hear? Anthony McLean, can you hear me? All right, still not hearing Anthony. All right, back to you, Demoy. I want to answer your question now. And I think just remind me in summary what your question was, Demoy. Demoy?
Right. Really, I am. My question is now, what will your party, do as it relates to granting opportunities for young people, creating a society, creating a economy where we can thrive. What is what can you present to us
Yes, yes.
to
All right.
prevent such a
So,
brain drain?
yeah, man. By the way, there are some people online here that are writing and they're saying that you guys are brilliant. You sound brilliant. And I must say you do. Both of you that have spoken are very articulate and very intelligent. And Jamaica will be losing for you not to be with us. But to answer your question very specifically, the UIC is probably, not probably, we're the only political party in Jamaica right now that seeks to address the real problem. Jamaica has a system problem. The system we have in Jamaica is designed to enrich a few at the expense of the many. It is designed in such a way that our politicians uh, almost always choose to be corrupt. Politics has become the primary vehicle by which some people see an opportunity to gain wealth. They can't gain it through normal entrepreneurship, they can't gain it through a regular job because of the way the system is designed. Much of it is designed based on connection and nepotism and tribal politics. This is what is killing Jamaica. The UIC wants to change the system from the bottom up. So we have a different system, a completely different system that will create the kind of checks and balances that will reduce the cost of government to us so that more money actually flows into the productive sector as opposed to flowing into the pockets of politicians and into a bloated government, a wasteful government that only pushes up the exchange rate because it is so inefficient and ineffective, and also pushes up inflation, which makes it very difficult for you to afford things. We have some basic programs that we want to implement. One of the first programs is a youth employment solution. We believe that every young person that leaves school or university must be immediately brought into the work environment by way of an apprenticeship program if they cannot find a suitable job or if they haven't started an effective business. So that's one of the ways that we want to make sure to quickly get you, especially those who may not have done very well in high school because of the failure that we have now, to get into the workforce immediately and to start learning how to work, how to be productive. On the flip side of that, we have a work fair program for adults now who are, been out of the school system for a while, but are unemployed. So we want to make sure that those persons are brought into the work. Similar program to the youth employment program, but geared towards more and adults. There are different needs the two of those. Uh, between sandwich between those two programs is our what we call learning enrichment advancement program. We believe that the school system needs to be changed to move away from a subject based system where you're focused on getting a subject to a competency based system where we focus on you having the competences to be able to operate in a modern global economy. Jamaica is about 30 years behind in its educational program. We're producing young people coming out of high school and even university without the kind of thinking and competences to compete in the global economy. And many of you who are leaving UTEC and UE right now will have to actually upgrade your skills tremendously to be able to be effective in the global space that we have. So the UIC is looking at all of these things and will tackle all of these, focusing first and foremost on the system design change that must be done. If we don't change the system, nothing I'm talking about matters because it's the system which undergirds the corruption, the waste, the misallocation of resources, which then robs us of the business opportunities that would create the jobs and the high paying opportunities and entrepreneurial opportunities locally that are not impeded by government or impeded by politicians or impeded by regulations that are designed to stifle small business while protecting big business in their monopolistic positions. That's in summary, Demoy, but does it give you a flavor for how we're thinking and what we want to do?
Most definitely. I do see where some of these implementations, these strategies could definitely bring forth some fruit a positive direction for young people, and creating more opportunities, especially as it relates to the job implementation, the young people transitioning into a workspace. I think that
Yes.
definitely will ensure that young people garner such experience and then
Yes.
develop on those experiences.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, Samantha, you had a question. I think yours was more around the student loan, but let me let you ask it again briefly.
Okay, sure. So my question in regards to student loan, both student loan and NHT, because I know that there is
Hmm.
some mixed management in regards to our national resources, and we've seen it with both party. I'll never forget when I heard one of our politicians, he can't bother with the intellectual minority, and that hits hard because who is the intellectual minority? And we know exactly coming from the ghettos or the areas, and we're getting
Yes.
an education. We
Hmm.
know to read and write and read. So that was just a hard hit for me. So I want to know in regards to the NHE, how it is that the IC wants to
Hmm.
tackle the government, stop taking out from the budget so much, still can't afford the houses as Damai stated, that for one. And
Hmm.
so if you have information on how it is that you're looking towards reforming the student loan bureau as well, so
Yeah.
more kids can benefit from
Excellent.
it.
Very, very good question, Samantha. First of all, let me tackle the student loan thing. The UIC wants to do away with the student loan bureau and the student loan mechanism. We think it's a farce. It's really what you're really doing is saddling students and sometimes parents and co-signers with astronomical loans, which are totally unnecessary. The UIC believe that our human capital is critical, and countries that focus on building their human capital are the ones that are successful. For example, Singapore. In 1965, when Singapore became an independent nation, their government focused on four things, one of which was building their human capital. And because of that, Singapore has one of the highest educated population in the world, so high that they have to import low skilled workers to do the menial tasks because the majority of their people, the vast majority, are so highly skilled and highly educated. This has caused many countries to send their head offices or key parts of their productions to Singapore because of the quality of human capital there. So Singaporeans are earning on average in terms of the GDP 63,000 US dollars a year, while in Jamaica we're between 7 and 9,000 US dollars a year on average in per capita. So obviously there's a big gap and a problem. So the UIC wants to do away with student loan and make sure all students, regardless of your economic background, you're funded all the way through to the PhD level. You might be shocked when I said that, but once we want to have a merit based system where you are funded based on merit, not on signing a student loan document and put yourself under stress and your parents under stress, but rather you focus on performing in school. And the higher you perform, the more credit you get to go as far as you can in your education. So those who can only go to the high school level, that's the level they go to when they transition into an apprenticeship program. Those who can go to the undergraduate level, they get to that level and then they transition into an apprenticeship program at their commensurate performance, qualifications, and of course move into a job or into some form of entrepreneurship endeavor. Those who can move to the postgraduate, say a master's level, will move into that level. And those who can go to PhD. Why are we doing this? We need to create an innovative Jamaica. We cannot create innovation if we're stifling our best minds because of the financial impediment. So the way we have done the economic design for the new Jamaica that the UIC is putting together is to make sure that we designate the GCT, which is a big pot of money, designate the GCT to funding the nutrition, the education, the healthcare, and the housing of Jamaicans to make sure that every single child has the nutrition, the education, and the healthcare, and a decent living environment in which to succeed and reach their maximum potential. No, not everybody is going to be a doctorate, is going to get to a doctorate. So they will self select. So, but those who can get there, we want them there because we want the innovators, we want the inventors, we want the scientists. We want Jamaica to be the one to be producing things as opposed to be begging things all the time. Every time there's a problem, we're begging or we're just waiting to receive from other people. Let us be the country that starts to give to the rest of the world in science and technology and in the creative arts, as we're doing with unlimited means. Let's now really invest in our people so that we can have the highest quality entertainers, the highest quality engineers, the highest quality innovators and inventors right across the spectrum, from nursing to teaching to academia, to scientific development to technology, so that we can be the phone makers, the new phone makers, the newest smartphones. We can be the new designers of cars or spacecrafts or robotics. Be involved in high tech coding. Artificial intelligence. It's time for us to stop thinking so small and keeping our people so small by building a Jamaica that invests in its people so that we can bring out the best in our people. So that's how we're going to address education. You would have realized, Samantha, that I've touched on the housing side of things. We're going to also do away with the National Housing Trust because it's a waste of time. The way the trust operates right now, it forcibly take money from everybody who has a PAYE check, but it only gives benefits to about 25% of those who have contributed. In time, it returns some of that money to the people who contributed but would never get anything because they will never qualify. But that money is now worthless because inflation would have eaten away the value. That's unfair, it's unconscionable, and it's wrong. So the UIC is going to stop that. With our program, every Jamaican family must become a property owner. The land of Jamaica belongs to you. It's an inheritance that was stolen from your foreparents and was never given back to them. So the UIC government is going to give back the land to the Jamaican people by virtue of a solid housing program that ensure that we get rid of the ghettos, get rid of the garrison communities, get rid of the squatter communities, and replace them with high quality, high density condominiums, 2, 3 bedrooms, high quality, properly designed with the proper green spaces and ergonomics, child care center, community centers, library, all the things that you need to be there to give you a first class lifestyle. The rest of the land that is now being called crown lands, we're going to divest those lands into significant organic farms, big organic farms that will make Jamaica the organic capital of the world. All Jamaicans will have interest or shares in those farms, so that now that we're going to be exporting en masse, you, the Jamaican people, will be getting your inheritance by virtue of the profit returns from these massive organic farms. You're talking about permaculture, you're talking about horticulture, you're talking about hydroponics, organic farming to the max. That makes us a small country, but rich in organics. And I'm telling you, this is possible because the Netherlands, which I've been to a few times, they're a small European country, but they're the second largest exporter of food, next only to the US. We are a relatively small country, but we're 14 times Singapore, and Singapore is 100 times richer than us because they have managed their resources well. So we're going to shift the Jamaican dynamics to make Jamaica a powerful organic farming economy that is built on such things as energy harvesting, water harvesting, and maximizing our ability to produce both our own water locally and for export, vegetables and fruits locally, consumption and exports become food independent, and harvesting energy, wind, water, biogas, and geothermal to become energy independent, at least significantly. And this is going to change the dynamics. No more poor housing development. If you have an unfinished home, we will invest in finishing that home. We'll create what we call intergenerational mortgages so that it's affordable for you today and remain affordable for your children, and build up the housing stock very quickly and get us to 98% home ownership and a very, very different Jamaica. Again, I'm doing this fast, Samantha, but I hope you get the drift of where I'm going.
Wow, I'm just like, it is so refreshing. We are accustomed to persons making promises, but I can say just the information that was given, it sounds well prepared. I was like, when did the USC have time to really sit down and create such a plan that is so detailed? And it sounds really good. And these are the talks that I want to hear, because I wasn't interested in voting. And as I stated, I wasn't even interested in staying in Jamaica itself for a long period of time. And based on what you're stating, it's really refreshing, I can say. And it really it gives me the opportunity to rethink a little. Rethink, because if that's Jamaica that we're looking to see, I want to be a part of that. I can say that's
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Samantha. We have taken the time. It's been a very costly venture because, unlike the other two political parties, we have no access to private sector funding or to tax dollars. So when you see the Prime Minister going around, it's at your expense and my expense. When you see me going around, it's at my expense and ordinary Jamaicans who give $1,000, $2,000 to help. And it's not big. We don't have any big income. But what we have are some really patriotic persons who have spent the time. We meet every single Sunday. Me and the team meets to build out all of our policies and to work on our programs and to design every single Sunday. I mean, we hardly miss a Sunday unless it's maybe like a Mother's Day or something like that. And we have meetings across the country. I'm going to another meeting this weekend again with a group of our candidates because our candidates, they're not there to play politics. They're there to help Jamaicans become aware of the problems and to become invested in real solutions as opposed to politicking. So I'm not really a politician, but I'm involved in politics because that's the way to change the country. So thank you for that. I want to kind of shift the discussion a little bit now, though, because of something which happened recently, and you would have all seen it. Barbados is now a republic. What does that mean? What does it mean to you to hear that Barbados is a republic versus Jamaica, which is older than Barbados in terms of independence? Where we have been independent longer than they have been, and they have become a republic in 55 years of their existence. We're now at 59 years of existence, and we did not get rid of the Queen and so on. But I want to caution you because Barbados is calling themselves a republic, but we need to understand what really is a republic. And I want to maybe educate us a little about that tonight, and at the same time get our thoughts and feelings about Jamaica being under the monarchy still to this point. So, Demoy, what are your thoughts on that?
I do not have the full details as to what really happened, and it's a good look, but I don't know what that means as it relates to Barbados and their future. I know there are no cutting ties, but to what extent? Personally, for me, being a Jamaican, I yes, it would be a good move for us, but I feel like we have greater issues at hand. For instance, our crime rate, I think we're more focused on that as it relates to our independence. But it's a good look for Barbados. I don't know what is the real details.
Yeah.
So you can inform me or give me some knowledge as it relates to that. But yeah.
No problem. Will do. And Samantha, what are your thoughts before I share some of mine?
All right. So firstly, in terms of Jamaica being independent, we know that's a lie. That's a lie in itself, because you can't be independent and then the constitution still revolves around the Queen and what it is that was put in place long time ago when our people were slaves and stuff like that. So we even think about Jamaica being so-called air quote independent. Barbados being a republic, it sounds good because based on what I know about republic, it should be that the people hold the power. So if it's really a case where because the thing is that we know talk is cheap, and to say that something is something without the facts and it's in fine writing, as you say, in corporate world, if it was said and it's not sent in an email, it was not said. So I would look at it as in regard to the Constitution. If it's the Constitution of Barbados now is going to state that the real power, and they put things in place that the people really decide what is going to take place, and kudos to them. Jamaica, we need to feel real independent? No. We need to start managing our resources. We need to get rid of the queen that have keep us in bondage for how long, suck everything from us, and now we're here dying, and all kind of generation is still here suffering because we're
Mhm.
suffering and we suffered in their hands. And 2021 we're still suffering because of the decisions
Exactly.
that was made and the political leaders that fell out. Because can I say, no, it's a good opportunity. And why I can say that if you as the UIC president with that is educated could come back to Jamaica and you could come with the team and you guys can sit down and based on what you're saying, it's so detailed, it sounds so good. Why it is that we have political leaders where I guess should have a lot of advisors, have the best resources, can get all the information and yet still every year them can just say, we're gonna give you a better road and there's still no road.
Yeah.
And then the road that they come with me, my daughter, her granddaughter, her daughter, my great great still have to pay for it. So, I really want the discussion tonight to hear what you're saying in regards to that, so I can be
Mhm.
like as the more as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. My gosh, I'm so happy I have you both on tonight. But let me just break quickly and say to everyone, please like, subscribe, and share wherever you are, just to spread the word. We're not going to be on TVJ, we're not going to be on CVM because they're blocking us. So it's up to you to spread the word so that Jamaicans, all 3 million of us here at home, and the 4 million of us overseas, let's get the word out to everybody. So like and share and subscribe. Don't be stingy. Share with everybody else. Now, back to this question of the Republic. I want to share with you a little bit of the history first of the Black people and us in the Caribbean and in Jamaica in particular. Our forefathers made one big major blunder in Africa when they allowed the Europeans to come to the African shore and extracted a ton of us and put us in slavery for some 400 years. That was the first trick. Trick number one, they got our own people to participate in a massive abduction of us from Africa and also here in the Western Hemisphere. And they got us to be enslaved for 400 years. Trick number one. Trick number two came in 1838 when the Queen Victoria gave us emancipation. We all celebrate Emancipation Day in Jamaica, not understanding what we're really celebrating. We were freed. They freed the slaves. We became freed slaves. Please note, we became freed slaves. So we were still slaves, but we were now free. We were free of education, we were free of capital, and we were free of land. So we're just free to walk around. We don't own anything, we don't have any money, and we don't have any education, but we were free. What were we free to do? We were free to depend on our colonial masters then and go back to them and beg them for a job. So now they were free of the responsibility of caring for and housing and feeding the slaves. The slaves could now be just out there and they work for whatever. So that was the first trick in 1838. It was not freedom, it was not emancipation, it was a trick. Then they told us that they have to implement an apprenticeship program because they want us to be ready now to be able to handle freedom. Again, that was a trick. They simply wanted to continue slavery under a different name and they call it apprenticeship. In each of these segments of history, we fought back. We made their lives a bit miserable. We burned up some farm, we killed a few people, and we tried to get our freedom. It took from the time they told us we were free in 1838 to the time when they gave us the so-called right to vote in 1944 was 106 years. Think about that. We're free, but we could not vote. We hardly could own any property. We were at the mercy of our colonial masters for 106 years more. Think about that. Why did they give us the right to vote in 1944? Remember, they were giving us the right to vote. They created what they call self-governance and gave us a system that was based on us first dividing into two tribes to fight each other, right? And then they said, no, fight each other by voting for which of your two tribes you want to be in office. And by doing that, they took our attention off of them, the true enemy, and we became the enemies of each other. So we now start to fight each other from 1944. Stop fighting the white man, stop fighting the colonial master, and we're focused now on fighting each other because they told us that we are our enemies. From 1944 to 1962, that was 18 years. So during that 18-year period, we mastered fighting each other. We mastered being tribal. We mastered partisan politics. So in 1962, they trick us again and they gave us independence now and say, no, you're independent with the system that we want you to follow. Follow this system as an independent nation where they have made permanent what we now know as ALP versus PNP, green versus orange, and they give us a system that is built on corruption. The system we have is actually designed to facilitate corruption. You cannot have that system without corruption. It's based on corruption. When they make these transitions, they do little ceremonial changes. So, for example, in 1944, when they gave us the right to vote, they still had a white governor. So you had the two parties, and they had a premier and a opposition premier, and then you have a white governor above the whole thing to make sure that the little animals behave themselves well. And if things go right, then the governor is happy, and if it doesn't go right, he rein things in. In 1962, they changed that white governor with a black governor general, with a white queen, the Queen of England, as head of state. And we have maintained that for 59 years since then. Now, that speaks volume about our leaders because these, I call them misleaders. They have kept this system in place for 59 years on top of the previous 18 years. So, a total of 77 years, these two parties have kept us in this system, kept this system alive, feed this system, and allow us to destroy ourselves with this system. Now they're going to come with another change. Now that you have all the hysteria about, Barbados becoming a so-called republic, they're going to come now with another change. They're going to sell you a new change now. The new change will be, yes, we're now going to get rid of the queen and we're going to have a president, a ceremonial president. And now we're going to become what Barbados call themselves, a parliamentary republic. And that will mean no change. All that would have happened is that you're going to replace now the white queen or the black governor general with a black president. But the system, which is our problem, the very design of that system, and one day I'll explain to you in more detail how that system works. But that system, which is our problem, will remain intact, which will ensure that the wealth of the nation is never dispersed to the wide majority, but is controlled by a small minority and is leached out of the country to continue to build up the colonial powers economy at the expense of the majority of Jamaican. That's what you're going to call a republic, but it's not a republic. A true republic is one where the citizens are truly sovereign. So every single citizen is now a sovereign entity. They're no longer the subjects of the state. The state exists now to serve them. They don't exist to serve the state. To explain this to you, I'm going to show you a video, a short video clip that will explain what the Americans were trying to do when they were experimenting with republicanism. Theirs is not a true republic either. It's a fake republic because they didn't go all the way. They included partisan politics afterwards, which once you have partisan politics, you can't have a true republic. They have not fully protected the sovereignty of the citizens, and once you don't do that, you don't have a true republic. Once the people remain the subjects, and the government and those who operate it and those who own it behind the scenes, which are the big money players, the ones that fund the campaigns, they're the true government, not the little figureheads you see at the front, the Andrews and the Mark Golden. In a non-republic, the real masters are those who fund the election campaigns behind the scenes and therefore set the agenda and control the puppets and parrots we know as politicians. So let's watch this little video, and it will give you some more context from a US perspective, but it applies in any country because the rules are the same. So let's have a look.
The framers emerged from 4 months of secrecy with the first national constitution ever put to
I'm going to
paper.
start that again.
Well, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us? The framers emerged from 4 months of secrecy with the first national constitution ever put to paper. Well, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us?
Well, sir, a republic, if you can keep it.
For the first time in history, men invented a government. But what kind of government was it? That's right, a republic.
There had been republics in the past, and it was assumed we would have a republic of some form here.
And that republic would be structured so as to prevent the majority from oppressing a minority.
What were they afraid of? The accumulation of powers in one hand. And one hand could be a single dictator. It could be a very, very powerful majority that tramples on people's rights.
I think they actually did not have a very high opinion of direct democracy. They really wanted a constitutional republic.
Democracy in the late 18th century, it means mob rule.
The single biggest advantage of a republic is that it recognizes that the government are our servants and the people are the masters.
I think the framers were very realistic about human nature, and it's probably the thing which sets our government apart.
We make allowance for a certain degree of selfishness in men, wrote the Scottish philosopher David Hume, because we know it to be inseparable from human nature. Madison shares that skepticism. If men were angels, he wrote, no governments would be necessary.
On the other hand, they did not think that they were constructing a government for devils, because that can't be done.
The framers are deeply realistic about human nature, but also having a faith in the possibilities of human enlightenment. We shouldn't call them either skeptics or idealists. They're a little bit of both.
Well, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us?
Well, sir, a republic, if you can keep it.
That will be a challenge.
I think those are the most chilling words of any framer, because what he was saying is that we've given you a republic, but it's yours to lose. Every generation will have to step up and defend those liberties.
Or as an old song put it, freedom is a hard-won thing. You have to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it, and every generation has to win it again.
So there you have it. A short thing on a republic. And what you would have noticed is that the purpose of a republic is really to protect the people from their government. It's to ensure that the government is truly the servant of the people and not the other way around. If you look at the UIC system of governance that we want to bring into Jamaica, you would see that our system puts you, the people, we the people at the top, and the government is charged with protecting the life, the liberty, and property rights of the citizens, and never to enforce any law that will undermine or otherwise compromise the rights and freedoms of the citizens. That's not what you have today, and that's not what the Bayesian government has just put in place. All they've done is to create a facade that something has changed when nothing has really changed. Samantha, you're still with us. Any thoughts?
Whoa, is there any country that is really, because I'm seeing where the video stated that with the US, you stated it didn't follow through really and truly as a real republic state. So is there any country that is really a republic where the citizens is, based on what you have stated and what USC is ready to implement, any
Uh,
case studies
No,
so far?
there are no countries. The closest we have come to having a republic, a true republic, is the U.S. There are many countries that use the word republic. For example, the Chinese people, the Republic of China, which is not a republic because China is a very repressive state where the government is the Lord and governor, the God, and the people, must fall in line. So the U.S. came the close. Their constitution was actually, 90% good. Where they fell down was first and foremost they maintained slavery and apartheid and the whole discrimination issues there, which you cannot have anything like that in a republic. And so they were compromised morally because of that. And then their laws then that subsequently followed continued to encroach on that desire for a republic and undermined their republic. The UIC has now corrected all of that. So everything that they did wrong, we have learned from it. Everything that we have done wrong, we have learned from it. We have looked at other countries like Canada, the UK, Sweden, Switzerland. It's good for me that I have worked with 120 different countries as a part of my career as a financial guru, helping different countries through the kind of programs that I've been involved with financial issues. So I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. For example, I've been to Ghana. Ghana is you'd say is a big Jamaica. Ghana has 30 million people. They have far more resources, much a very large landmass with gold and diamond and oil and rich fertile soil. Everything that you would want to have in a country, Ghana has all of it. Very good climate, a mix of flatlands and hilly terrains, water sources, everything. Yet still, Ghana is not as wealthy as it should be and suffers from practically all the same problems we do in Jamaica. Ghana was also a colony of the UK, and when they became independent, followed the script that the UK gave to them, the same script that the UK gave to us. And because they followed the script, they had the same results. Because your colonial masters will never write for you a script that is going to make you as good or better than them. And Jamaica, like Ghana and many other former colonies, have followed the British script. Singapore did not follow the British script. So Singapore has had a very stable government, not a republic, because they have not followed all the principles that the UIC speak about. But they have done some few key things. They're really focused on fixing the checks and balances in government. As a result of that, Singapore has one of the lowest corruption index in the world when it comes on to government. They also focused on really protecting human rights in terms of property rights and your right to your freedom as a person. And so they created a very safe country. So they have a very good police service that is very, very effective. And so their crime rate is like less than 1% of ours. That's how bad it is or how good it is. Most of their homes and shops have no grills or anything because they've really provided a safe environment. They also made sure Singapore is very clean because if you want to have a good standard of living, you have to create a very clean environment and a very green environment, properly maintained green spaces, proper roads, sidewalks, street lights, just showing pride in your country, something Jamaica has not done. We have tourist areas for tourists. So we believe tourists must have nice green spaces, nice sidewalks, nice manicured environment, and we want the tourists to have that, but our government don't think we deserve that. So our public spaces, our general Jamaica is not well maintained. Well, a UIC government sees the opposite. We believe Jamaica must be, the entire Jamaica must be a tourist destination which is built for us Jamaicans to enjoy. And of course, when the tourists come here, they will see it too and say, wow, which is what happened in Singapore. In Singapore, they have made the entire country a beautiful place, and people flock to Singapore. for the tourism attraction, for how beautiful it is. But the citizens of Singapore are enjoying that kind of environment daily. So they made sure Singapore was safe, clean, orderly, and free from political corruption by having a strong system of checks and balance. And finally, they invested in human capital, making sure that their people are smart, brilliant, well educated. If you have those features in place, safe, clean, orderly, anti corrupt, and highly educated and intelligent citizens, you have a first class country. A true republic create that environment so that you can bring out the best in your people, and they're free, they're truly free to achieve their best selves. And that's what you have when you have a republic, at least the UIC version of a republic, where as an individual you're sovereign, your life, your liberty, and your property rights are off limits. No government can interfere with those rights, they can only protect it. A true republic has a constitution that protects the people from their government. Because when you put people in charge of people, they can lose their minds and lose their place, which is what we're seeing now in Jamaica. We have a prime minister that has lost his mind, that has lost his place. We have an opposition that is incompetent and incapable of doing a meaningful job. We have an entire government which has been taken over by big business and foreign interests, and they can use our government against us. In a true republic, you remove that possibility and you protect the people from their government. So if the government is doing a good job, all is well. If the government tries to do a bad job, the constitution immediately puts them offside, and the people have every right to completely remove them, and they cannot put you in jail for simply saying you have a problem with the way that they're doing things. Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right. So I've kept you on long enough, and I've passed my 1 hour mark by 1 minute and 51 seconds. But let's take some quick questions or comments online before we close. I see Fox Strike saying, Andrew gone man, I guess. I mean, gone mad. And I see people saying to like and share and so on. So everybody's happy with the program tonight, Samantha. So I'm going to give you the last word. What would you like to say to close out for us tonight?
I'm going to say it was very informative. It was really informative. And I am now going to watch the UIC very keenly based on what he stated. I'm happy and I just want to see the best Jamaica. I really do. I'm a Jamaica by birth and at heart. And if the UIC can really, come with some just clean Jamaica need a clean up. And if the UIC can really do that, I'm all for it. I hope the people can just be wise. We're tired of the handout. We're tired of being labeled as the intellectual minority. And we want changes and we want a better Jamaica. We want a brilliant school system. We want to be a true republic, as you have stated. And we just want to be proud Jamaicans. And I'm just happy for the information. I'm here and I'll be watching, I'll be liking the page. I wish you could be more on the radio and TVG and CBN because it's just so impactful. I guess that's the reason why the media doesn't like you, because what you're coming with is so it's just different and it's like my brain right now is at 100 speed because I never know, because we're so used to it. Always stated, when you're used to the bad, you get accustomed to it, so you just try to fit yourself and live with it. And what you're coming with is just so different. It's refreshing to just even know that there's a possibility. Because now I'm asking myself the question, really, can Jamaica change? And I'm seeing where you're stating a lot of things. And I'm just happy just to be a part of the discussion. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Samantha. And yes, I mean, I too, just listening to you, I'm empowered and encouraged because, I may not live to enjoy all of what we're trying to do here, but you're only 25 or 27, somewhere there. So you have a long way to go. And so if we can work on this now and bring about this new Jamaica, a real new Jamaica, where we address, and guess what? We actually can do it, because the monies we're taking in now as a government is enough to do all we can do, is all we want to do. It's just that it's being misapplied, misappropriated, wasted And a lot of it is paying back a loan that we haven't even benefited from. 50 cents of every dollar is going to pay debts right now that are debts that were incurred by politicians who, did not do these things in our best interest. So we don't have the assets to show for it, but we still have the debt to pay back. So I'm very impressed with the intellect I'm hearing, whether it's a minority or not. I welcome your intellect and that of all young people. And I think if we just join hands together and work together, we can bring about a new Jamaica. It's time for us to move beyond what they trained us to be, which is tribal, move beyond that, and to come together as a people and create one Jamaica, a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people. Thanks to all of you. Thanks again, Samantha. Have a good night. Until the next time, please stay strong and let's work on creating a real Republic of Jamaica. All the best.